here we are at the house where Eartha Kitt, my father's great love, lived in the autumn of 1987 whilst my mother was dying. Eartha was in the process of buying this darling house which I'm about to show you, 112 Earthquake Road. Eartha was, as we all know, a great actress, chanteuse, a magical person whom I first met at Stonor Park in the spring of 1954, I think, when I was 15. She danced on the table in the kitchen at Stonor Park. Yvonne Mitchell, the great actress, had introduced her to my father and mother. My father and Eartha fell much in love, platonic relationship that would last until first my father's strange death in March 1976, and thereafter till some 3 years ago when Eartha died in Connecticut. She never ceased to love Sherman, and he also loved her. And this photograph was taken, this particular photograph was taken in 1973, I think. Let me just check. 3rd of March 1973. Papa died 3 years later. And Eartha always told us she loved him for the rest of her life, which is quite true, she did. So here we are at 112. Here is Eartha. Here's a darling little house. And now I think I could show you a beautiful photograph of Papa as he was. Elegant, eloquent, gentle, great ecologist and farmer who survived Dunkirk but had a terrible nervous breakdown and acute peritonitis. And he and I share the same blood because he had to have a blood transfusion, as did I in later years. So here we have Eartha and Sherman. Two remarkable, talented, wonderful human beings. And I will also show you a later photograph of Papa, as I always knew him. When he was slowly succumbing to my mother's brutal poisoning. It's quite a telling photograph. But then my mother was always known by her mother-in-law, Mildred, Lady Camoys, as a Spanish adventuress. So, Granny Mildred Camoys declined to go to the marriage of her only son, Sherman, to Jeanne Stourton on July 14th, 1938. She stayed at home all day, weeping at such a misalliance. Jeanne, my mother, always vowed openly that she would take revenge on her mother-in-law. Started by stripping out the boilers at Stonor Park. So by the winter of 1947, we were all frozen. There were many other acts from 1938 onwards. Now, I'm going to bring you the photograph of Sherman at this traumatic period in his life. This picture of my father, Sherman, after many years of being stop-go poisoning by my mother, his wife, Jeanne Stourton, shows a very tragic descent of health. And I've always thought the expression in his eyes meant that he knew that he was being was sacrificed to my mother. But he was a very great gentleman and a very sweet person, and he was powerless in front of such horrendous tyranny and wrongdoing. And I was in America, sadly, when he died, 24 hours after I had arrived, and I was unable to get back for at least 1 week because I had no money, by which time my father appears to have been cremated against his wishes, because as a Catholic at that time he wanted to be buried. But this death certificate does say cremation. So I came back from America for 24 hours. I was working in Boston, near Boston, as a lady's maid. And I had to rent Brunswick Road to some American intellectual professors. So there we are, Sherman, Eartha's great love, Eartha, Sherman's great love, and vice versa. So now I'll close this episode. So an episode with Sherman and Eartha really never closes. Here we are, Eartha and I, coming out of the house, 1987, and in between I put a little photograph of Julia at Assenton Lodge in 1941 with my nanny, Catherine Cooper, who had to become a land girl because my mother dismissed her. Sadly, she's gone to heaven, but she too was a great support and helped at my 50th birthday party when Cristina organised such a wonderful mass at the London Oratory, and we all took a picnic lunch afterwards. I think about 200 of us, all different denominations and different countries, very cosmopolitan. And here again is Sherman. And as I said before, I'm sitting on one of Eartha's chairs, wearing the tablier, as Dr. Balfour called it, the apron that comes from the House of Lords, where for the moment I'm forbidden to sit. So, Eartha's chair, hooray for Eartha.